All right, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Sunday. Tennessee gets the Music City Bowl on December the 30th at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time in Nashville, Tennessee, at Nissan Stadium, where the Titans play, right down the street. It's going to be cold, and we're playing up against Illinois, and it's very disappointing. I think it's a perfect end to the season. You know what? I would just say that that's what they get. You know what I'm saying, people? Because I could tell you straight out the gate that none of the players, or nobody that I've talked to, wanted to go to that bowl. They all wanted to go to a bowl down in Florida where it's warmer, where they can have some fun, maybe like unwind, celebrate a pretty good season. But whenever you go 8-4, this is what happens. And in all honesty, there's a lot of me that just feels like, well, we're lucky to even make it to a damn bowl game. There's some
Yeah.
changes that will be coming that will take place, P, and we're going to get to that as well. But, first thing that we would like for y'all to do, man, if you could, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because, we are going to be diving deep into several different things. We have a whole lot of information. But, P, what's your like opening thoughts on Tennessee getting this
Mm,
Music City Bowl?
yeah, you pretty much said it all. This is exactly what this team deserves. You go out there, go 8-4, uh, you know, lose. I mean, I'd say at least two games you had no business losing. I mean, no business losing to Georgia, no business losing to Oklahoma. Really had no business losing to Vandy. Now they went there and whipped us, but no business losing to them. So, this is exactly what this team deserves. A year when five teams get into the college football playoff, which we'll talk about here later, and you can't be one of them. I mean, yeah, you're lucky to get into a bowl. For me, this is all about the young guys. Freaking get ready for next season because this is a bowl nobody even wants to be at. Nobody wants to watch it, but it kind of is what it is. And like you said, this is exactly what this team deserves.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and start off right here with some of the opt-outs that I feel like might be coming. You can see with the defensive tackles, most of the veterans, from what I've heard, probably won't go in this game. So Bryson Eason, Jackson Moy, David Hobbs, if they have an asterisk next to their name, it means that they could go. David Hobbs, I feel like he probably wants to go pro, so he might need some more film. So maybe he goes out there. Well, let me try to show him what I can do. But I think he's played well since he's been back. And then at defensive end, Josh Josephs, Tyree West, Don Bailey. This is not a guarantee that they'll be out, but it's just like a watch list of who might be out, who will probably be out. For the secondary, Colton Hood, he's not going to play. Andre Turrentine might not play. William Wright might not play. We've had some guys. And you know what? Also, I don't know about J-Mac. So J-Mac's not up here, but he might not play. I know he got the invite to the Senior Bowl. William Wright, he got an invite to some sort of a like postseason bowl. I think he's a very highly rated special teams player. So he might actually be able to go pro as a walk-on guy. So that's great for him. As far as quarterbacks go, I don't know. I mean, I think that Joey Aguilar will probably play, but there's a chance that he doesn't. There's a chance that Jake Merklinger doesn't play. As far as tight end, Miles Kitselman, he's injured, so he probably won't go. Wendell Moy's injured, so he probably won't go. That's for the offensive line. With Chris Braswell, he's not going to play. Lance Hurd, he might play, might not. Same thing that we talked about with, guys like Hobbs. Does he feel like he can go pro? And if he does, then maybe he will play. I'm just not sure. If he wants to get his draft stock up, then he needs to play. If he thinks he's good where he's at, then he won't play. But it'll be a pretty good sign of who we should be expecting to come back next season based off of who does go, Pete. But what are your thoughts right here?
Yeah, I mean, I see Joey Aguilar trying to play and have his last go at it. I am kind of curious why you have Turntine on here. So you think he's sitting out trying to get ready for the draft, or?
I'm just going off of what I've heard. So I'm just going off of
Okay,
some of the names that
okay,
I have heard. So yeah.
okay, because he's a guy I would say he is one of those guys that you need to put some good film out there, and this is your last shot to do it. So I would expect him to try to go if he can, but I know you're plugged in, so if you're hearing that, then I definitely trust your word there. But I mean, heck, if this is right, especially looking at the secondary, man, I mean, who we're going to have out there, especially if you add J-Mac to this list. Who's going to be your star? Like, who's going to be your corner opposite Ty Redmond? It's going to be a definitely. And who's going to be your safety? I guess it'd be Beasley, but he's another one. Maybe you could add to this list as a guy. Maybe could transfer out. Maybe he's not doesn't play. So, I mean, it could be a very depleted team. But you know what? I'd actually would love to see that. Let's see what the future looks like. Because to me, this game, win, loss, doesn't really matter. So let's see what we have on the roster and get ready for the offseason, get ready for next season.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. You know what I'm saying? Like it really is. I don't necessarily care personally if Tennessee wins or loses this football game. I really don't. It doesn't really matter. We are about winning championships. So what is it going to take for us to get to that point? And like I did say, P, if they have an asterisk next to their name, so Andre Turntine, he's a guy with an asterisk. That's like a I don't know if you want to call it 50-50, but
So,
there's a chance that he does play, right? So I just want
mhm,
for the people out there to have that clear. I'm not in none of these players, I'm guaranteeing that they'll be out, right? I'm just going based off of some of the things that I've heard. And they, like you said, could be plenty more names added to this list. Let me go ahead and tap into this chat real quick, P. And see what the folks are talking about. We're going to be getting to the super chats and our members first. So Dylan saying Music City again, just thankful it's not Purdue. Yeah, man, like we have trouble versus those guys, but I mean, nobody wants to do this. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even be mad if they opted out. Now, like we just touched on, it's going to be a positive thing to see what do we have with the rest of this team, with these young guys. What do we want to hold on to? I think that's what we need to be focusing on more. Because I mean, some people will care if we want to lose. I mean, of course you care if we want to lose, but at the end of the day, for us, it's about winning championships. So Dylan's also saying that I know no one asked, but Nissan Stadium sucks too. Poetic end of the season. Yeah, that's how I feel, bro. Like if you're gonna go out
mhm.
there and put out a crap product, you deserve to get a crap bowl. And I'm not too much mad at the players. I put this way more on the coaches. We're about to get to that in just a second. So Dylan's also saying that he's got a better chance of walking on the moon than Turntine getting drafted. Yeah, Turntine did not play well. You know, like we need for our safeties to definitely step it up. I think that we're both on the same page with that.
Mhm.
So let's jump back into it and let me go to the next part of this. It's something that we've looked at previously, right? Because now we're gonna go ahead and turn the page to the offseason. And you know what? We'll come back and we'll talk some more about the bulk. Well, you know what? Actually, P, let's go ahead and do that now. We'll come right back to that in just a second. But let's first talk about Illinois because I've watched some film on them. I think that you watched them earlier in the season, P. For me, watching film on them, I think that their offense can present some problems. I think that they've got a stout offensive line, especially if we've got a bunch of young guys playing up front. Going to be a really tall task for them because I feel like Illinois is more of like a veteran-led team. Those dudes up front look good for their offensive line. I think that they have a pretty good system, pretty good scheme. There's some misdirection. They rotate a lot of different running backs. I don't see any like world beaters as far as the skill players go, but their system is very similar to like Syracuse, where we talked about it. Their system can give you some trouble. I don't think that their system is quite as good as Syracuse's is, but I haven't done like a super deep dive. Their defense, I see some holes, but we saw holes in the Vanderbilt defense too. There's a lot more holes in our offense than people understand. So we will see. But what are some of your thoughts, P?
Yeah, I haven't, like I said, I haven't watched a ton of them. Watched them earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of getting ready for some of our weekly predictions, maybe before they played Indiana or something. I was watching them. Can't remember a ton about them. I will say just as far as us, have done a lot more self scouting on our team, and there's things that we need to focus on this game. Whether it's the young guys or the veterans, whoever it is out there, like we've got to be more fundamentally sound in assignment sound. Like that's something that is just so frustrating to watch. If you're a C gap player on defense, and play the freaking C gap. I don't need to go into the D gap. That's something that you see a lot on film. Is you'll see multiple guys in the same spot. You'll see multiple guys doing the same job. And you heard the team. If you guys listened early in the year, you look at the post game press conferences, things like that. The weekly pressers leading up to the game. This team. A lot of the things they said is, hey, we've got to do our job. We've got to be more fundamentally sound. You go back to the preseason. You heard a whole lot of, the big focus was learning what all 11 are doing on every play. Well, I think maybe take a little bit of the focus off of that. I think that's valuable. But make sure you know what you're doing every play. Make sure you do your job every play because right now it's too much inconsistency. And that's why I think we're seeing a whole lot of the issues that we're seeing. So for me, that's the big thing I'm looking for in the bowl game is can we do our job? Can we get 11 guys to do their job every play? And if we can, we're going to have success.
Yeah, I know. I think that's very well said. And also the simple fact for me that the players pointed that out, that they know that they need to do their job. It lets me know that the coaching staff has at least talked to them about that. Like they've emphasized it. And I know that there's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
lot of folks that talk about Tim Baines, but we're going to talk about him. But I don't want to over harp on that. I think that he is kind of like the scapegoat for this season. That's just how I feel personally, P. I do think that he could have done several things better, but I don't think he's as bad as some people are saying. He's not just totally just horrible. I don't see that. I think there was some
Yeah.
problems with the personnel, so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm
Mhm.
definitely looking forward to that, and it'll also be like a showcase for some of these guys that we talked about might not want to go because they're going to be transferring out. Well, you still might want to play just so that you can put some more film out there. Maybe that helps you to land where you want to land or to make some more money and all that type of stuff. But with all that being said, let's go on ahead and turn the page to the offseason. These are the contracts for the coaches on this staff. So Coach ET, who's the cornerbacks coach, he's not up here, but y'all can see when their contracts end. So for Coach Tim Banks, his contract doesn't end until 2028. Same thing for the offensive line coach, Coach Ellerby. For 2027, we got Coach Chop, Coach Nez, Coach Alec Ablin, who's a tight ends coach. And then ending at the end of January this year, Joey Halsley, still haven't fixed that. Probably should have went back and fixed that. But Rodney Garner, William Inge, Kelsey Pope, Darrell Sims, and Kurt Schmidt. Now, Kurt Schmidt is the strength and conditioning coach, P. And I want to start off right there because I hate calling for people's jobs, but I think that whenever you look at the totality of all of our programs, because it was actually, we talked about it last night after the basketball game, that he's actually over, if not all, most of our sports, like all the major ones, as far as the strength coach. And they all look bad to me. I don't think anyone's playing well enough. Like, we don't look fast enough. We don't look strong enough. There's not enough dogs, not enough hunger, not enough fight. So for me personally, I would say that he probably needs to go. P, is there anybody maybe from this list that you're thinking just like off the top that you feel like might need to get the boot?
First I'll say I didn't know that. I think that's an
Mhm.
issue. Like, why do you have one strength coach for every sport? I mean,
Yep.
that seems
Stupid.
pretty crazy to me. I don't know what the heck we're thinking, but I don't know. As far as this list, I mean, I'll put it this way. For me, it'd be easier for me to maybe point out the guys who I don't want to lose. Like who, if I lost, I'd say that's a huge deal for me. There's not really anybody that pops off here. I mean, I think you want to keep Gardner just because he still continues to recruit, bring guys in. You love that. We love Inge. We love Pope. I think Sims is a good coach. But I mean, heck, the rest of those guys. I wouldn't be mad. Like I said, I think Tim Banks. I think he is better than people give him credit for. My issue with Tim Banks would be I don't know how good of a teacher he is. Like I think he has a good scheme and things. I don't know if he's teaching it right. And maybe put that more on the position coaches. But like we talked about, the gap assignment, just the little details. How are we week 14 against Vanderbilt and guys still playing the wrong gap? So is that on the position guys? Is it on the DC for, hey, this is your defense? How are you letting this stuff go week after week? Like something needs to change, I think, on that defensive side of the ball. So we'll see, but I'll just say this: I'll be shocked if we don't see at least some changes on the that defensive staff this offseason.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I'm gonna tell you one of the like I said, I think that the strength coach needs to go. We have also looked at this previously. These are some of the names that I threw out there of guys that are doing a good job as strength coaches. And y'all can see the names if y'all been watching us and y'all have already seen them, right? So just take a look. I would say that Scott Cochran, he's the guy, but he's a head coach right now. But if you want to make a big time home run splash hire, he would be the guy. But then if you look at number 4 and at number 5, Chuck Losey, who's at Penn State, P, and you said that he was part of your staff whenever you were at Vandy. You had some good things to say about him. So maybe you can talk to the good folks about, like what you saw from him as a, strength coach on that staff.
Yeah. Yeah, Coach Losey, man, he was an assistant strength coach when I was at Vandy, and this was under Franklin, so this is back when we were actually good. He was an assistant, so he was in there making sure we're doing everything supposed to be doing and stuff like that. But he was a guy, really kind of, I don't want to say mean, but like it's like a really stoic, didn't really say nothing. A guy everybody respected, kind of everybody feared him. You didn't want to upset Coach Losey. Really like a hard nosed type guy, no nonsense type guy. Like if you're over here, crying or whatever, trying to tap out, he's gonna make you finish. Like he didn't care. Finish your reps, finish your set. Really hard nosed guy. I think he's been the head guy at Penn State, I want to say since like 22 or so, 21, 22, something like that. And I mean, he's all about, if he takes from our head strength coach back when I was there, if he takes after him when I was at Vandy, pretty much it seemed like every single day in the weight room, it was as many reps as possible for as much weight as possible. So like, hey, let's load this thing up with as much weight as we can do. And we're going to do as many times we can do it. And then every single time we came back to that same lift, like the next week, like the weight was going to increase. So if you're doing, 300 last week, this week it's going to be at least 305, 310. Like, every week we're building, and guys are getting stronger and bigger doing that. So if he takes after that mindset, I think he'd be a great hire for us because you saw us a lot on film. You see us getting pushed around. Guys aren't strong enough. Guys aren't taking on blocks physical enough, run through tackles at a high enough clip. So, let's get a guy that's going to get us stronger. I think Coach Losey could definitely get that done for us.
Yeah, and I don't know if you wanted to talk about this, but it's something that like you've noticed a difference. Like you noticed a difference with the first strength staff versus the second strength staff,
For
where
sure.
you're doing more heavy lifting for as many reps as possible, which is old school. I mean, like that's how you're supposed to lift, versus doing more like flexibility stuff and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Huge difference. So we got after Franklin left, we got Coach Mason, who came from Stanford. That's back when they had the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever it was. And before I ended up, leaving the team, like I told Mason, I said, listen, we're doing this Pac-12 stuff. It's not going to work out here. We're doing Pilates. We're doing like a lot of lightweight, heavy rep type stuff. And we got pushed around. Like we sucked. And it was a lot of the same players. It's not like we lost so much play, but like we got weaker. Everyone complained about that. It was a deal where I had to take it upon myself to go do team lifts, and then every night before bed, I would go to the local rec center and do another lift to make sure I was actually getting enough work and getting stronger. And so it's a huge difference. That stuff matters. I'm not saying that Coach Smith is necessarily like a Pilates type guy, but that's almost how it feels. Like that's something else too. So our head strength coach when I was at Vandy, his name was Coach Galt. When we had Coach Galt, we continue to progress even through the season. So like I feel like a lot of strength staffs maybe like in the season you kind of taper off. We're just trying to maintain whatever. We're going to go light. We were actually still making gains during the season, which I think is a huge deal to continue to get strong. That's something that we've noticed big time. You think about this team. We start the season off pretty good. It's not like we get weaker as the year goes on.
Yep.
I think that's something we need to look at. So I think Coach Losey would be a great hire. People don't know about him. But, I think Penn State's look good this year, like in terms of their strength. They're not getting pushed around. I think it's just really their offense is not very good. But I think he'd be a really good hire for us.
Yeah, I do too. And then the next guy, Derek Owings from Indiana. So obviously with the turnaround that Indiana's had from a program that never had a chance in hell to do anything special, they're able to go out and beat the Buckeyes last night. They've had 2 really good years. To have the turnaround that quickly and going back to Vandy with Coach Clark Lee. I mean, listen, Indiana's the least talented team in the Big Ten, and Vanderbilt's the least talented team in the SEC. Both of those teams have done good things. Now, I'm going to tell you, Vandy's got, I think, 12 blue chip caliber players, which would be like mid-tier for most other conferences. And Indiana is sitting at 7 blue chip caliber players. So not a whole lot of talent. That's what I'm looking for. If we're going to fire somebody and go get somebody else, go get people who are proven that they can do more with less. This staff came in doing that, but it was really based off of gimmicks in all honesty. There were some good things that we did, but most of it was just from like gimmicky stuff. The gimmicky stuff wears off because people start to figure out how to stop the gimmick. And that's what's happened with the offense. I know the offense has put up some good numbers, but we've seen what they do when it counts. Every single time they can't really get it done. Why? Because it's too gimmicky. And they had to change so much to the offense from last season to this year. Just to get it kind of back going, but there's a lot more that needs to be added there. So I'm saying all of it to say that we're talking about guys who have proven that they can do it with less. So that takes me to the next part of this, P. We're going to be talking about Coach Banks versus Bryant Haynes, who is the defensive coordinator for Indiana. I'm going to make this big so that y'all can see it. If I'm going to pull the trigger on trying to go get somebody, just me personally, P, this is Coach Haynes will be one of my guys. Because look at what they've been working with and look at the numbers from this season. So you can see the Coach Banks, his defense has 27 blue chip caliber players, which is more than the entire Indiana roster. Offense, defense, special damn teams. It's almost 4 times their whole roster. It's more than they've probably had in about 5 or 6 years combined, just on defense. Okay? And Coach Brian Hayes, he only has 2 blue chips on defense. He's got 1 secondary player. He's got 1 defensive lineman. All right? You can see what the strength of schedule is. Now, this is just based off of ESPN. They're saying that their strength of schedule was tougher than Tennessee's. I disagree with that thoroughly, and actually I'm going to go ahead and play this clip for y'all real quick just because you might – don't take my word for it. Listen to somebody who's actually played in the Big Ten and in the SEC.
One of the big things that we hear about all the time is SEC, Big Ten. Well, you played in both. Like, I think you have as good a perspective as anybody else to talk about both leagues. Like, is there a difference to you, or is it pretty much the same? Football is the same.
I would definitely say like SEC, you're playing every week and you're playing you're playing like big comp every week. So that was something when I was at Alabama. It was every week playing. Okay, Tennessee this week, got LSU next week, then we got Auburn. You're playing dudes every week, and that's something that you have to prepare your body for, prepare your mind for. I would say Big Ten, you're gonna have 4 or 5 games maybe where you're gonna have to play like high level competition and really be able to be at your highest point. So that's a difference. But then again, I said that when I first got to Ohio State, and then a lot of the teams that were in the Big Ten, when it came to like bowl games, they ended up beating the SEC team. So
all right, so we're gonna come right back to this, right? I just wanted for y'all to hear that and that was Caleb Downs speaking. He's speaking with David Pollock on the See Ball Get Ball podcast or something like that. Either way, right? The whole point is, yeah, there is a difference. So don't just necessarily just like let these numbers straight up fool you. You're playing 4 to 5 teams up there in the SEC. You're playing dudes every single week. I think that we all know that. But either way, though, I mean, look at the. Just not very talented for Indiana, P. Not very talented with their defense, but I love how those numbers look. Scoring defense, number 2. Total defense, number 4. Rush defense, number 4. Pass defense, number 13. Number 9 in sacks. Those are all national numbers now. Number 2 in third downs. Number 51 as far as red zone goes. Imagine what he could do with more talent, P. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make here.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, that's the defense like – it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, this is a team, even playing against the Oregons and the Ohio States and the better teams that they played. They had a good game plan, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. Just coming out here, it doesn't sound like they do anything really complicated. It seems pretty simple. Kind of let guys line up and play, which I think is what we need. And for me, I'm almost to the point where I'm almost kind of past the X's and O's of it. I think that's obviously important, but for me, I'm looking for somebody that's going to coach the details. I think you can line up. I mean, heck, our coach used to say this all the time. You should be allowed to play base pretty much. Hey, we're just going to play freaking cover 2, whatever. But within that cover 2, and I know you talk about all the time, each coverage has holes, whatever. But even within that, you're still coaching, you're still coaching it to a way to where based on the look you're given and based on how the play progresses, like you should still almost have everything covered. Like you should have a deep middle hole player in cover 2. You know what I mean? Like you should have guys in these areas. You should, your corners, we're not just squatting at 5. We're going to carry number 2 vertical. If he's vertical, we're going to get in that honey hole. Like you just have to coach the details of whatever coverage you're playing. I think if you got a guy to do that, then you're going to have a good defense. And I think this Brian Haynes guy, I think he's a guy that can get that done for you.
Yeah, I do too. And, speaking of the X's and O's, just to kind of show people, like you talked about base. So this is showing what Coach Banks, what his defense looked like this past season versus Brian Haynes, just so that y'all can see some of the differences. But the number one thing is that Coach Haynes, he's running more base. So 25.7% base to our 10.7%. Now, it says 3-4 because technically that is what our personnel is, but it could be a 3-4 look. It could be a 4-3 look. If it's 5 men up on the line of scrimmage, that's for us, that's a 3-4. If it's just 4 up there, that's typically going to be our 4-3. But they run more of the 4-3. I just wanted for people to see some of the similarities. They also run more 4-2-5 within their nickel versus the 3-3-5, but they do both of those. Tennessee runs more 3-3-5 and then 2-4-5. So outside of that, with the blitzing, Tennessee's blitzing overall at 37.4%. Let me actually make this bigger for y'all so that you can see it better. But Tennessee's blitzing at 37.4%, and Coach Haynes for Indiana, they were blitzing at 41.8%. Now, that was, if you look at the SEC and the Big Ten, both conferences, Indiana's total blitz is at number 4 amongst both of those conferences. Tennessee is at number 10. If you're looking at the pass, Tennessee's at 41.1%. And Indiana's at 48.4%. It's the same thing there. They're at number 4. Tennessee's at number 10. Now, once you come down to this, like the blitzes versus the run, Tennessee's at 32.4%, which is number 8 amongst both of those conferences. And then Indiana is at 31.4, which is at number 9. So they do blitz more than us. They also run a whole lot of zone coverages. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't like the deep zone coverages, if you don't like the players playing off, you might not like what he's doing, but that is what he's doing. I'm talking about Coach Haynes. Mostly cover 3, all right, and then cover 2. So cover 2 cornerbacks, they can come up, but they run it different types of ways. And then cover 4, that's playing off. That's 4 people playing deep. And then cover 6, which is a mix of cover 4 and cover 2. Cover 4 is also quarters coverage, right? So every single coverage is just telling you how many people are playing deep, for those of y'all that might not know. But Tennessee, it's more like one high look, so cover 3. Cover 4 isn't a one high look. It could look like cover 0. It turns into man a lot. Cover 1, which is man-to-man coverage. You have one safety playing over the top, and then cover 2, where a lot of folks call that like shells. You know what I'm saying? But either way, this is the differences between their schemes, because I do think that there is something to be said about what schemes are you running. And P, I think that you said it perfectly. It's not so much about the scheme, it's like, how are you coaching that scheme? And is it simplified enough that the players can just go play football? And I feel like for Indiana, that's what they're doing. A lot of their quarters coverage, haven't watched a ton of them, but I went through some of it. A lot of their quarters coverage is kind of like Dallas. I saw the people talking about Dallas running those 5-man fronts. Well, it's a 5-man front, but you're not really playing tight outside. It's, hey, all the box players are playing inside of the box, and we're taking up all the gaps at the line of scrimmage. It makes it easier as far as the run phase, typically. So there's different ways to get it done. And I think that he's a guy that we definitely should be trying to figure out, hey, what's it going to cost? What's it going to take? Because whatever it costs, whatever it takes, there's going to be a buyout for Coach Banks if we were to fire him, $4.3 million. That's not a huge deal. Go on ahead and pay that if you feel like this is an upgrade or anybody else is an upgrade, and then just go get them paid and make them want to come here. Pete, why would you not want to leave from Indiana? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the people that have to live there, but I mean, who wants to live in snow for most of the year? Who wants to be freezing cold for most of the year? There's nothing to do up there, right? So it should be a pretty easy sell for the quality of life and for his family. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we should be able to go out and get pretty much whatever we want. I mean, I think look at where this program is at from where it was when Heupel took over. It was kind of hard for us to get guys to come here. It's because of the place we were in. But I think Heupel, I'll give him credit, he's dug us out of that hole and put us back to kind of where we were more prestigious, a more appealing job opportunity for teams for coaches want to come to. So yeah, I mean, I think you go out here, offer this guy, maybe offer him a little bit more money than he's making there in Indiana, and I think he would want to come. And so we'll see. I don't know if Heupel's going to have the guts to make the change, because as you pointed out, how much of it do you put on Banks? How much of it do you put on position coaches? How much of it do you put on the players? I know you don't put much of it on players, but how much of it is on? I mean, at the end of the day, it's on the coaches, because you got to coach these guys up. And for me, that's I continue to reiterate, the scheme is obviously important, but the biggest thing I'm looking for is I want a coach, whether it's a DC or a head coach, whoever it is. If it's a DC, I want a guy that's going to look at that defense when you're watching practice, self-scouting yourself in practice, reviewing the tape of practice. How detailed are you in how guys are attacking their assignment and doing their job, and what type of standard do you hold them, as well as the position coaches in those rooms? What type of standard are you holding them to? Because that's going to translate, and that's why you see some of these teams are always good on defense. That's why, because they pay attention to details and they don't let anything slide. I want a coach like that coaching our defense.
Yeah, me too. Very well said. So let me tap into this chat real quick. Let me see what my dog JT Lynn's saying. So sorry, I'm late. God is good all the time. Go Big Orange, and wish Banks the best. Love that, man. Really, really good injury. And JT's also saying that this team needs real dogs. Hey, listen, y'all. JT and everybody else, we spell dogs DOGS on this channel. We're not gonna spell it like the Georgia Bulldogs, all right? But yeah, so I'm right there with you. We most definitely do need to get that figured out, man. Like we gotta have the people who are just hungry and who are gonna give maximum effort all the time and gonna stick their face in there and just play a tough Tennessee brand of football. And not even just football, but for every single sport. What's going on, Ronnie? Appreciate you. Okay, so you love the matchup with us going to Nashville. All right. NIL, the great equalizer. Yeah. I know that Indiana, they've gone to the portal. They've added several players, but they don't have the type of NIL that Tennessee has. They don't. I mean, obviously, revenue share, that's what's really balanced things out. But NIL is still relevant. NIL is still a thing, but you have to have things in place so that you can utilize NIL within the confines of these new rules. Tennessee's done that. Like, we go out, we get a sponsor with the 3 stripes that can pay the players as much as we need for them to get paid. And the college sports mafia can't stop it, because you're not going to tell Adidas who they can and can't pay. You're not going to tell them what the market value is. They're going to set it. And you're going to sit down and shut up, and you're just going to take it. So Tennessee, I think that Danny White did a good job with that. But this next one from Dylan saying that Indiana's core is built up of JMU transfers from when Signetti left. Banks' numbers are inexcusable, in my opinion. All right, so get the best available, period, 100%. It doesn't have to be the guy from Indiana, but I'm throwing him out there because, look, one of the things that we've told y'all is that we're not just going to come to you with a whole bunch of problems and be belly aching and crying and all that. We're going to give you solutions to the problems because all the crying is not going to help anything. You need to have a solution. This is just one of the many solutions that we've thrown out there for y'all, right? This is just one of the guys that we're looking at and we say, okay, this is more than likely about 95% certainty going to be an upgrade with Coach Banks. You know what I'm saying? I think that he probably would have had a better year, and given the talent and everything that we had to work with this season. Why? Because he showed it last year at Indiana. Now, I think that their team is older than Tennessee's was, but even still, man, like you got to find ways to get things done. All right, so let me get to some more, Pete. I'm just trying to get to all the members. So this one right here from JT saying that I don't think Banks is getting fired this year. You could be right, and it might still work out. So Dylan saying that, no, I'll say Indiana sucks as a state. Indianapolis isn't even fun. Yeah, I've never been up there. You know what I'm saying? I know I have people. We have family up there, but I've never been. All right, so this one saying that we need dogs at every spot in this athletic department, especially football. We need guys that have high football IQs, but can scorch the earth on third downs or on 3rd and 1 for sure. And from Dylan saying that my main thing is tackling. Feels like I can count on one hand how many times we wrap up in a single game. Yeah, for sure. And then dogs are piss off the Georgia fans. Yep, there we go. All right, bro. So a broken clock is right twice a day. I'm not sure who he's talking to right there. All right, so let's get to this one. All right, and let's also get to this one from Ronnie. All right, so what's the probability of Banks leaving? I don't know about him leaving, but of him not being here. So, like, whenever you say leave, I'm thinking, P, that him willingly leaving. But what's your thoughts there? Like, what do you think the probability is that Banks isn't with us next year? Because I think that maybe is what Ronnie's asking.
I don't think it's a very high probability. I'd say I'd give it probably like a 20% shot. You know, I think if you simulate this thing 5 times, one of those times he's gone, the other 4 he's still here. And I mean, you know, I don't know how much we can say about it, but heck, we've spoken to some of the guys, and I think the players actually like Banks, and they actually don't want him to go anywhere. So, you know, if he does leave, what does that do to your roster? The guys want to follow him or also turn tail and run too. So those are things that Heupel's considering and thinking about. Like, we don't have the full picture. You got to understand that as fans. We don't have the full picture. We're not inside the program. So there's different layers to it that we're not quite privy to. But I'd say, I'd say definitely a 4 out of 5 shot that he's back next year for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up, Pete, because I was about to go there. But yeah, if we were to bring in a new defensive coordinator, more than likely everybody on the defensive staff is probably gone. Now, I've been very vocal in saying this. Coach ET has got to be a non-negotiable. He's got to stick around because I think he's the best cornerbacks coach in this country. I would love to hold on to Coach Garner, but at the same time, I don't know if because I think Coach Garner's getting tired of coaching anyway. So at some point, he's going to leave. So do you want to cut ties there now? Or are you okay with cutting ties there now and bringing in somebody new that also has proven that they can get it done? Or, you know, like, what do you want to do there? I also like Coach Ainge. Like you said, there's coaches on the staff that some of the players really love. And folks might leave if some of the, like, coaches as far as defensive line, linebacker, whatever, if those guys are gone, then some of the players might leave with them. So you have to keep that in mind. But P, I want to jump into this real quick just to get your thoughts because I wanted to talk about this earlier. But let's just talk about the playoff picture and just kind of like give me your thoughts real quick on what you see here. So, you know, we got James Madison versus Oregon, and then they're going to play Texas Tech. But what are you thinking about these matchups that we can see currently on the screen?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that top half of the bracket is the weaker half, I'd say. I mean, there's not really any team here that I think go win the whole thing. I mean, I think Bama, we've seen them operate at a high level. They're similar to us. They're inconsistent. Like, I think you've seen us operate at a high level. Like, you've seen us. You get us on our best day, we're going to be tough to beat. You know, I think Bama's that same. If you get them on their best day, they're tough to beat. Can they pull in Ohio State where they get into the playoffs and it's just clicking, you know, because they got all the pieces pretty much everywhere. Offense, defense, special teams, receivers, offensive line, defensive line, DBs, linebackers, quarterback. I mean, they have pieces everywhere. They could be a tough team to stop. We'll see if they can get past Oklahoma. I think, what's the guy's name there, the coach at Oklahoma? Venables. He's beaten those guys. I think the 2 years he's been there, he's beaten them. He make it 3 in a row. He hasn't lost to them yet. So, but that's one to watch out for. If Bama can get out of that first round, look out for them to really go on a tear. I got a feeling that the team that makes the championship out of this side of the bracket will be that Alabama-Oklahoma matchup. I think it'll be one of those teams. And I could see it being a scenario where they're just blowing everybody out.
Yeah.
I said because I'm not a real believer in Oregon. Texas Tech, I mean, they're not a bad team, but that's a Big 12 ball club. And then Indiana, I mean, they continue to prove me wrong, but they're a well-coached team. So watch out for them. But I could see them getting matched up against an SEC team and just getting absolutely blown out of the water. So watch out for that team coming out of this side of the bracket to be a Alabama or Oklahoma who's really looking really, really good. And people are scared to play in the championship.
Yeah, I know that most Tennessee fans are upset that Alabama got MP. I totally feel you on that. I'm not happy about it, but at the same time, I look at Alabama and I think about them being a matchup problem versus Georgia. Now, I know that last night they made them look foolish, but whenever it really counts, I think that Kirby Smart is gonna piss down his leg, and I think that Alabama would have a chance to be able to beat them. I'm not sure about Oklahoma just because their offense is not very good, but let's move it on down and talk about the other side of this bracket. So we got Tulane, Ole Miss. I mean, obviously, Ole Miss should be able to win, but how do they look without Lane Kiffin? They still have their offensive coordinator, they still have their defensive coordinator. I think they'll be fine in that one, but then after that, they have Georgia. I don't know that Lane Kiffin, and he might do it. I don't know that he'll call in and try to help those guys out. Now, the offensive coordinator is supposed to be following him to LSU, right? So maybe they'll still talk, and maybe he'll help him with the game plan or something. But I'm not sure. He's got to be getting ready for his own bowl game. Either way, I think that Ole Miss could be a problem for Georgia as well. Trinidad Chambliss, he's not going to get his extra year, at least not up to this point. That's something to watch out for with Joey Aguilar. But then we have Miami and Texas A&M. That's two teams that I definitely think could also beat Georgia, because my whole thing at this point is just who's going to stop Georgia, because they have looked a whole lot better. I think the Buckeyes could probably also stop them. But what's your thoughts down here, Pete?
Yeah, man, I think your champion probably comes out of this side of the deal, unless somehow Bama pulls off up top. But I mean, that Miami A&M matchup, I think that's probably the matchup of the whole deal. I mean, that's a big time. That's two teams that I think could both go win the whole thing. I think you look at teams that go win the whole thing. What you got Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, A&M. And then, like I said, I think Bama up top. I think you got 5 teams that I could see realistically win the whole thing. 4 of them are on this side of the bracket. And Ole Miss would be there if they had Lane Kiffin. I mean, they'd be there for me too. Now we'll see if they're the same team, but to me, this is definitely a much more competitive side of the bracket. Ohio State, we saw them last year really turning on the playoffs. I mean, that could happen again if they get into that mode. Like you said, Georgia. I mean, I hate to say it, they've looked really good, and that, honestly, you go watch their film versus Bama. That's where a lot of it comes from for me when you talk about discipline. We kind of make fun of those guys sometimes talking about being disciplined to a fault. Well, I almost would rather us be more like that, because in order for you to beat a team that's too disciplined, you've got to get outside the box and you've got to kind of make things happen. But if you're playing a team that's undisciplined, is all over the place, you can just do basic stuff and beat them. But to beat a team like Georgia, how they're playing right now, like you've got to get them just like, it's not easy. Like they're playing very disciplined right now. They're going to be a tough team to beat, but I do think we got a good shot with Miami, A&M over here, Ohio State. Even Ole Miss, maybe I think one of those 4 teams I think can knock those guys off and let one of the good guys win this thing this year.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Georgia ended up winning the SEC championship, and then ended up on this side of the bracket, P, like we talked about earlier. But all right, so I just want to get your thoughts on it. Obviously, Notre Dame didn't make it, which is shocking to me. But you've got 2 teams in there so Miami beat Notre Dame, and so did Texas A&M, right? I think both of those guys beat them, so it does make sense. But it's moving. They're going to add more teams to the playoff picture next year. I'm almost certain of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think Bama only got in because they didn't want to set a precedent with the SEC championship game? Like they don't want a team. Hey,
probably.
Bama, yeah, because I mean, heck, if they lose that game, then now they're a 3-loss team, right? Yeah. So like, I mean, think about it. If they lose that game and they're out, look at teams like Ole Miss, Oklahoma, 2-loss teams that didn't play and are in. So I think that's why you're seeing Bama in this thing. Even though they got kind of blown out in that game, I think that's why you're seeing it. Yeah. And I kind of think it's the right move. Like I thought you can't devalue making it to the conference championship, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do too, and it feels like the Big Ten is now pushing to just kind of like do away with the conference championship games. I think that they said, was it that they wanted a 20-team playoff? It was something crazy. And they were basically just like, yeah, like there's no more conference championships because, I mean, it makes money. That's the main reason that they even do it. But it really is like if you make it to the conference championship game, what's going to start happening now, Pete, to your point about, well, if you go to the SEC or whatever conference championship game is one of these bigger teams you're basically in, sort of a thing is, well, why the hell would you even try to win it? Like, why? Let's just rest our players, you know? So there's several issues with it. They really just need to go to two power conferences, just like the NFL, follow that model. And until they do that, and until they have a CBA in place, college football is always going to be kind of crazy. That's just the way that I look at it. All right, so let's move on because we got some more things to talk about. I actually want to jump in here and take a look at some of the positions on this team, right? And we're going to start off with the positions that Tennessee needs to target inside of the transfer portal, and we're going to kick it off with the quarterbacks because obviously all these guys won't be here. Somebody's going to be gone. Joey wants to come back. We don't know if he's going to get granted that extra year. But it would actually be beneficial if one of these guys can stick around with GMAC and also with Faison. I've heard some things, and we talked to the members about it. There's no guarantee that if Joey comes back, that room could be very, very bare, a lot more bare than some people think. So this is going to be very sticky, which is why I wanted to start off here, P. But what's your thoughts with the quarterback situation heading into the bowl game and then also heading into the offseason?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think everybody expects Mark to be gone. So don't expect him to really be a factor in the bowl game. I wonder what the conversation's been like between him and the staff. Has he let them know, hey, I'm probably going to be out of here or what? Because, I mean, if he hasn't told them that, I mean, they're probably going to let him play. So we'll see. We'll see how they want to handle Joey Aguilar. I don't think he's going to get his waiver or whatever just because the time crunch that we're on. So how do they feel about him as a guy who, this is his last opportunity? Do they value that more and say, hey, it's your last opportunity. Let you play as much as you can? Or they say, hey, it's your last opportunity. Let's get the guys that are going to be here next year, give them a shot, see what they can do. So, I would prefer us to go the latter. Maybe give Joey some plays, but definitely find ways to work Merklinger in there, in my opinion. But as far as Joey come back next year, if there's any type of rumblings, like you say, about maybe a guy like GMAC or somebody leaving, I mean, you got to push Joey out the door, in my opinion, because Joey's that's one more year. GMAC's here for multiple years, or even if it's a Faison, talking about he wants to get out of here. You definitely want to push Joey out then and help prepare for the future. So, we'll see how they handle it. That's why they get paid the big bucks. It's a sticky situation, like you said, but I would much rather get the young guys going instead of holding on to Joey for another year.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at too. And I know there's a lot of people that would disagree with it, but I just don't think that you can mortgage away your future necessarily. Now, if you feel like, okay, we can bring back Joey and we're fine with having to go to the portal for a quarterback every year for like the next 2 to 3 years and having to overspend there. If we have the resources to be able to do that, then it's fine long term. But I think that we need to build things up around our quarterback either way, so that the running game is stronger, the defense is stronger, and then all you really need is more of like a game manager, and we'll be fine. But I don't know. I'm very curious about that. Let me get to this right here from JT asking what percentage chance do we give James Madison to win more than one game? So who are they starting off with again, Pete? Let me bring this thing back. I forgot
they play Texas Tech. I mean, they could mess around and
mean, dude, they have to have Oregon first.
Well, yeah, but he's saying like they somehow.
Oh, if they beat Oregon,
pull off the upset, if they somehow pull that off. I mean, Texas Tech. I mean, maybe and then heck, let's just say it's Indiana, maybe. I mean, I'd put a low percentage on it, but that might be a bet. Maybe you take some extra money and put it on that one, because if that one hits, man, if they make it to the championship, man, you're gonna get paid some big bucks on that one.
Yeah, like for real. So yeah, I'm probably, I guess, like in that same boat. If they can get past the first one, then they at least got a chance to go beat Texas Tech, and then after that, I don't think that they're gonna beat whoever they would have to play next. So let's move this thing forward, man. So we already kind of talked about quarterback and gave y'all our thoughts right there. Let's move it forward. All right, so this is defensive tackles. All right, so we're actually going to make this bigger just because this one is smaller so that y'all can see everything. I've got Jalen Thomas, who's a Potential JUCO transfer. I don't know what's going to happen there, but he's in green just because I don't know what's going to happen there. But obviously, y'all can see all the players in orange on all these slides. Those are the incoming freshmen. You can see the averages down at the bottom on the far left. That shows you how many players we would have inside of this room. But this is a place we definitely have to add to, P. It just feels like there's a lot of youth. I think we need some more vets, and we want to rotate 6 to 7 guys. So I don't know how much Indiana likes to rotate. So if their DC comes, that could change. We might be just fine. But that's really why we have to get things figured out, I feel like, sooner rather than later. But what are your thoughts just in looking at this room? And, kind of like same question, what are you thinking about with the bowl game and moving forward for the transfer portal?
It's a room, I think, a lot of the growing pains we took on early in the year with Campbell and Utley and those guys, I think it's going to pay off for us, at least heading into next season. These guys having a whole year to really take their lumps. I think they'll be a lot better for it, and really love the young guys coming in. I don't expect them to really help us out a ton in 26. I'm already kind of looking more forward to 27 as far as this group. I think you look at 27, we can keep all these young guys and keep all those older guys too in this room. I mean, this will be a really, really good room, I think, in a couple of years. We'll be in the same position next year where I don't think we're having to look to the portal, for next, for the following season. But I think as far as, the bowl game, we'll see if Hobbs wants to go and Easton and Bailey and those guys west. They probably won't. So we'll get a chance to see these young guys, and I think they'll be much better than they were to start the season. But I think I was looking forward to 2026, looking forward to next year for sure. We've been saying all offseason, or really, all season really, hey, we need at least two big beefy guys, 330 plus type guys to come in here, supplement this room for next year, because those freshmen, we love them. Just don't expect them to contribute. We know it's tough to contribute in the trenches in this conference as a true freshman. So go get you some guys to help you out next year. But I think long term, this room will be fine.
Yeah, I'm actually I feel like some of those guys could actually play, P. Like if you look at their sizes, I feel like they'll probably also Darian Albert. He won't be up early. He's coming up late. So that that could maybe set him back some, which I hate that because the same thing happened with Charles House last season. But and actually we'll make this back bigger so that y'all can, just in case y'all can't see who we're talking about. But the average size for our defensive tackles is at about 6'4", 294. Those freshmen gain the weight. We should be averaging over 300 pounds. I really like that, but like you said, man, like let's go out and get some veterans either way, get some guys that are bigger, because it is necessary. Like you have to have big dudes up front. And that was one of our problems for this past year. All right, so let me actually get to, I think that we had something that came in right here. So this one from JT, he's saying that GMAC is a Tennessee guy to his core and that he ain't leaving. So I've heard differently, and you would be surprised, y'all. You would be surprised. None of that stuff really matter. I know that people think that, but it's not. If things play out a certain sort of a way, everyone has a price. Everyone has a whatever, like a reason that they will leave. So it is not a guarantee that that's going to happen. All right, and this one also saying that championships are won in the trenches. Yep, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Got the bag, but not the bag, man. Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's Coach G. You already know. All right, so let's. My bad, bro. Let me pull that back down. All right, so let's move on to this next room. Obviously, we need to add some more safeties. You can see how young this room is. I really like what I've seen from Sidney Walton as a true freshman. Some of these guys might not be here, all right? Some of these guys might not be back, but since we are moving to a 105-man roster, we got 20 spots, 20 extra spots. So Tennessee was operating at 83 because of the penalties, will now be at 103. So you have plenty of room to be able to add. You can actually hold on to some of these guys if you feel like, well, you know what, we don't want to cut ties with these guys, and then go add. Do we have enough NIL? I'm sure that we do. And we're going to be up, amongst like the top spenders. But what are you looking for out of this group, P?
Yeah, definitely need to go add at least one guy to come in here and start for you. I think, like I said, we love Walton. I think he looked pretty good as a true freshman. Still think we could be better there. You know what I mean? And then Farouk, I think Farouk got a lot better as the year went on. But I wouldn't go into this year if I'm Coach Banks and I'm coaching that defense. I wouldn't go into 2026 saying we're just gonna bet on what we have. Go out here and get you some proven guys. Get you some guys with some serious twitch to them. Some big time guys coming to this room, and say, hey, we plan on these guys being able to start and make them go out there and earn it. And if nothing else, you at least elevate the play of these guys that are currently in the room, and then you're going to get your best product on the field. We'll see about these freshmen. Joel Wyatt comes in here with the size already. So does Combe. They both come in here with the size. Do they have the athleticism, the quick twitch, the ability to cover? football IQ to be able to really push for some time early. We'll see. But those are two really good looking prospects, two really good looking freshmen that coming in here. Definitely like the trajectory of their future long term. But we'll see if this room stays intact. I would expect at least one guy to be gone from this room off this list right here, and we'll kind of see. But this is a room we have got to get much better here at this position. It's going to tell us a lot about this staff of how they handle this room in this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, this one is gigantic, and actually one of the safeties that we had talked about, I think his name is Todd Goodwill. We talked about him, and it was another safety from like Southern Mississippi. So he's from South Alabama, but we had talked about watching them on, or I talked about watching them on film. I think their coverage looks good, tackling looks pretty good. The only thing about Ty is I've seen he missed 6 tackles last season, which that's kind of a problem. He's got to get that figured out. But yeah, I mean, they definitely have to upgrade there. There's absolutely no question. That's got to be probably like the number one priority in this portal. Next is running back. And you see, we only have 3 scholarship guys coming back for next year. More than likely, we have to add a body just for depth. But I think that this is 3 good running backs that are capable. But what are you looking for here, P?
So you're thinking Peyton Lewis is gone, huh?
Oh, you know what? That's on me. Yeah. So
okay.
I didn't put Peyton. Yeah. So that actually gives us 4. So that does make it better. But yeah. So if you add Peyton Lewis, obviously he would be more of like your bigger back. But outside of that, right? Do you think that we need to add somebody? Like, do you think that we need 5 running backs, or do you think that we're good with 4?
I mean, I think it would be nice if you can add a 5th guy. That'd be nice. But at the same time, man, I mean, I was watching Justin Baker run down on punt versus Vandy. I mean, he's got some pop to him. Oof. He's a good-looking kid. Like, imagine him next year, put on a little more weight, understand the playbook a little more, adjust to the speed of the game a little more. I think he's going to be an absolute guy for you. I think Dwayne Morris has shown some good things, continue to put on weight. I mean, he's a guy, you watch him run. I mean, to me, it was just a deal you could tell he's just not quite comfortable with it yet. But you can tell like he's got that playmaking ability, and like once the game really slows down for him back to kind of like high school, he's gonna be a serious problem. So I think it's gonna be fine, but you got to have more than 4 guys. I think in this day and age, you got to have at least 5 guys. So we'll probably go to the portal, add 1 guy for sure.
Yeah. And that's a pretty simple thing. Like, you don't have to go add some. I don't think, P, that we need to go add some like game breaking, spend a whole bunch of money on them sort of a back. Just go and get your body. You know what I mean? And we should be fine. Mm-hmm. I would like to add somebody that can catch the football coming out of the backfield, and is maybe like bigger and going to be a pretty physical blocker as well. All right, so this is stars. It's just the way that I see the room, P. I only have 3 guys that I look at and I say, okay, these are maybe our stars, but you could put some other guys in the secondary over here inside of this room. But it's very young. We haven't seen much of Dylan Lewis. He played safety versus one of those kind of like scrub teams here recently. Then you've got 2 true freshmen. And I don't think any of those guys are big enough right now. They all got to gain weight. I think you need to be close to almost safety size to play star for us. Like, you got to probably be up over at least 190. But what are your thoughts here, P?
Yeah, this is definitely a light room. We'll see how this room really shakes out as the year gets going. But yeah, we need to add somebody probably from the portal, just to at least give us some depth here for sure. Dylan Lewis is a guy we love. Not sure why we didn't see really any of him this season, but I think he's a guy should be much more ready to play next year, and I think he'll probably be an upgrade. I think if he's who we think he is and he develops what we think he'll develop, I think we're going to upgrade that position if he is the starter. Seeing a little bit of KJ McClain in high school, I think he looks like a pretty good athlete, and then that Jam Theodore, I like him a lot, man. He's got some pop to him. I'm not sure if he's a star guy. I'm not sure if he's quite physical enough in there. But definitely from an athletic perspective, one of the smoothest, most fluid athletes in this entire class, in my opinion. Underrated guy. He's probably my sleeper of this class no one's talking about. So, I could see him potentially popping here, or him maybe popping at corner, and you might see a Ricky Gibson or Ty Redmond or somebody like that maybe bumping inside just because he gives us so much at corner. So we'll see. But I don't think this will be the room. Once the season's starting off, I think it'll look much different than this by that time.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to go probably find at least somebody that we feel like is starting caliber and see if one of these guys can push them for that. but that's an absolute must. And we just didn't. The star position wasn't good for us this past season, which is why we talked a lot about playing more base. Just take the star off the field and put another backer out there. But we will move forward. All right, so cornerbacks now. This room's still pretty light. I have Ricky Gibson potentially coming back. We don't know what he's going to do, but I think that we got some good-looking players here. You know, I'm really high on Zay Anderson as a true freshman. If Ricky Gibson comes back, obviously him and Ty, that's going to be a really good duo, a really good tandem playing at corner. I think that Tim Merritt's got to get some things figured out. The guys that would be second-year players, right, that would be sophomores outside of Tyler Redmond, they're going to have to take some steps forward this offseason, just from what I've seen. But, yeah, we have to add some players here too, Pete. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. I think you look at those top two guys, you feel good about them. After that, there's huge questions. Really like Zay Anderson. It's like you said, I think he's a guy, in my mind, just from where I assume he'll be to start the year and from where I think the other guys may be to start the year. In my mind, he's already number 3 for me. I mean, and hey, not to love Tim Merritt, love Poteet, and I don't mean to say it in that way. Just I'm really high on Zay Anderson. I think he's a guy, and I like Smith as well as a more of a longer term guy. I think he's slept on too, man. I think we did a really good job of evaluating these DBs, and we're getting some guys I think can come in and help us. The question is going to be how much weight can they put on, how physical can they be to get off blocks and withstand and tackle. But really high on Zay in this room. I think this will be a good room for us, but we need those second year guys to develop, like you said.
Yep. All right. So moving on, strong side defensive ends. I could see us potentially maybe adding somebody just because I'm not sure about some of the underclassmen. So look, the first two, I've seen both of them play. I think that they'll be fine. But who's that third guy? I don't know that we have that for sure. But if some of the younger players, maybe they could step up and they could turn into, something that could help us out there. But I wouldn't be shocked if we go to the portal and try to add more of a veteran body here. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, you may have to, because you hate a scenario where a guy or two goes down, God forbid, right? And then you're in a tough spot. But really like the freshmen in this group as well. Zach Groves, I mean, they still got him listed as 240, but I mean, just from what we've seen, he's got to be pushing 270. I mean, he's a big old dude. So, definitely like those freshmen that are coming in. You like Dye, you like Weathersby. I think Lofton would be a good player for you. Carson Gentle's a guy, we don't really use him on defense. He's more of a fullback type guy for us. But yeah, surprisingly, this is a room where I could see us adding a guy just to give us that immediate depth that we may need as the season goes on.
For sure. All right, next is our Leo room. I think that we're probably all right here as long as Herring and Jordan Ross come back. Well, Christian Gass is going to have to step up. He's going to have to gain some weight. You see he's listed at 217 currently. But if he could get up, he's going to have to get up to like at least 240 by next year. I don't know how easy that's going to be for him. I do like Emmanuel Okoye because he I think that he's starting to get football figured out. And he could maybe be a guy for you too. But do you think that maybe we'll go and add somebody? Obviously, we got some very talented freshmen coming up with. They're almost at like playing size, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see us adding a guy here. I think Hezzy Harris is a guy that potentially could push. I mean, he could push. We'll see. Like I said, Okoye, we love him. Christian Gass, love him. Jordan Ross, Caleb Herring. I mean, this is still a very deep room. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we see maybe a Jordan Carter put on 15 pounds, 20 pounds, and bump him in the strong side DN. I can see something like that happening. This is still a very deep, talented room. We continue to get those prototype guys, that 6'5", 245 type range, athletic. So this room should be fine next year.
All right. So moving forward, man, guards, I think that as long as Wendell Moore comes back, Tennessee's going to be fine. And I think there's a pretty good chance that Tennessee returns our entire starting offensive line from this past season. But do you think that we need to add anything here? And then also, like, I guess we should be fine in this bowl game, right? Because Wendell Moore more than likely won't play because he's hurt. But Jesse Perry and then Sham, they can both play at guard for us. And then I think that Max Anderson, he's been looking good. I think that Tony, I think that he's been looking good. Gage Ginther's got to take some steps forward. But what are your thoughts here, Pete?
Yeah, I think we'll be fine in the ball game. I definitely could see Max Anderson and Gage Ginther leaving in the offseason. We'll see, but I don't think we need to add any bodies to this room. I would take any money you're thinking about spending there, and like you said, go attack some D tackles or whatever. But I think we should be fine in this room.
Okay. All right. So moving forward, let's talk about the wide receivers. All right. So as far as who all's coming back, I mean, that's a good-looking group. We'll see. Does everybody come back or what? I don't think that we need to add a thing here. You know what I'm saying? I legitimately don't. And y'all, sorry that Mo was on here. I had the updated one. I don't know why the updated one is not here today. But Celeste Moa is not He's not on this list, right? Well, we're going to have Tristan Keys and then Tyree King. Those are the two that will be joining us as far as true freshmen next season. So we would have 8 scholarship wide receivers, which is better than it was this past season. And I think that we should be fine here, P. I'm going to see if I can find the other one in here, P. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. We should be fine. I hate that you teased me with Mo on here. You know how we felt about him. And I hate that he's not a part of this class. But, I mean, that's a room that's loaded, man, top to bottom. For me, again, we talk about this staff evolving, Coach Heupel evolving.
Yeah.
And you find a way to get all those guys on the field at some point next season in meaningful reps. Can you change your formations? Can you find things that each guy can do well and give them a chance to go do it? Because that's enough talent in that room where, I mean, nobody should be able to stop us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. The freshmen, I mean, heck, Tyreek King, I mean, you watch him. Go watch some full game. Go in there, top it on YouTube, Knoxville Catholic High School football, and just watch him run around out there. His kid's a stud. Tristan Keys, he's a stud. Who's the other guy? We don't know about the other guy. Bay, he may not be a part of this deal, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? But I mean, that room is loaded. You know what I mean? Like that room is loaded. So, I just want to see Heupel be more creative, open up his mind, and mix up the formations and give these guys a chance to make plays because that room is loaded with talent.
Yeah, all right, so here we go, finally. Sorry about that, y'all. But yeah, so I think that we're going to be fine. I don't think that there's any reason for us to have to go out to the portal. Pretty much all these guys can play. And if anybody can play, I think that we still have enough depth that we could maybe cut ties with 1 or 2 of those guys. And it's not going to be like a huge problem. I just want to see us fix the problem with the drops, not just from the wide receivers, but from everybody on this team. There's been way too many of them. So how do they get that figured out? Leading the country in drops this season. We were up there. I think we were number 2 in the SEC last year. It's just not enough. And part of the problem was that we were running the football. Well, I guess we probably still passed it more than some of those other teams. But we ran the football more last season, which is why we didn't have as many drops. And part of the reason that we have more is because we passed it too much. So we have to find a whole lot of balance. And but yeah, obviously catching the football is going to be huge. So now we got the Mike linebackers. And I think that this room looks pretty good. So, Pete, what do you think about me moving AC over to this room and not playing at will?
I think that's a great move. I think you look at some of the guys we got in the other room and the guys coming in to play will for you. You like the athleticism there. The big question for me is Jeremiah Teenlander, and how do we utilize him next year? Do we find a way to get the most value out of it? Because I think there is value in Teenlander. I just think the issues with him is that playing in space, coverage, things like that. But if you can find a way to give him just like a small area to blow up and destroy, he's going to do that at a high level. So is he a guy we want to put on? Try to add 30, 40 pounds to him. Put him somewhere, put his hand in the dirt. Or how do we figure out to use him? Because I think he does have value. But at the same time, him being such a leader, such a great guy, I know it's hard for coaches to put guys in over him and take him off the field. But that may be the best thing to help this team. That's something to watch as we move forward. Does he get more athletic and help us more? Or, is this staff feel like they owe it to him to let him play? Does that hold this room back? We'll see. But a very talented room.
Yeah, well, if that's the game that the staff is going to be playing, then they ain't going to be here for too long because you just can't do that. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse at this point. We're not going to go 8-4 again, and a lot of folks don't get fired, right? So you better put your best players out there, and I'll just say it that way. And I love Power T, but like you said, he really can't play out in space. All right, so Wills. So I got Jaden P up here at the top, Jaden Harmon, Jordan Burns, Braden Rouse. Man, that's a great looking room. Great looking room. So what's your thoughts here, P? I think that we should probably see these guys playing more in this bowl game.
Yeah, love this room. And people forget Jaden P, what do you have, off-season surgery to end his senior season or something of high school. So he didn't really get to work out a lot in the off-season up to the season. Yeah, Harmon too. So imagine these guys with a full off-season. Imagine these guys coming in here, we'll just call it 232, 6'4", 232, 6 feet, 235, and still running and moving. I mean, I think all of a sudden now you're looking at it saying, hey, these two guys can't leave the field. I mean, so for me, man, this room is loaded. Jordan Burns, you guys know I absolutely love him. I mean, I don't know what it is with him. There's something about him he's not quite physical enough maybe, or not understanding his assignment enough maybe. But if he figures it out, he could be the best guy in his room. And then Braden Rouse, you go watch his film. Like I said, when I say watch film, go on youtube.com, type in Cal High School football, watch the full game. This guy shows up everywhere. A guy potentially potentially could maybe even bump into that star room and help you out. I mean, so this is a guy, I love him. And probably of all the freshmen that come in this year, despite how deep this room and the other room is, I got Braden Rouse as my number one guy that I think, well, besides probably Tristan Keys, he's probably number one guy that I think will help us out as a true freshman on this entire class. I think he's going to help us out because he's smart, he's fast, he's physical, he gets it, he's a football player. This kid's a stud.
Yeah. Well, we shall see because, like I said, that is a deep room. He's going to have to gain the weight. And I think those other guys they've got at least 1 year on them inside of the weight room. But I think that what you're saying is just you're very, very high on him. And he has a super high ceiling, and I feel the same way. All right, so offensive tackles, I think that Lance Hurt's probably going to end up coming back. What's going to happen with David Sanders? Who's going to play at right tackle? Is David Sanders going to do it for one more season, which I think that he should? Like, just stay at right tackle, son. And, I mean, you're going to be perfectly fine. Like, be able to if the more versatile that you are, the more money that you're going to make, like the more value that you have. So I think that's what he should do. And I guess you could make the same argument for Lance Hurd. But either way, right, we got Bennett Warren, want to hold on to him. Jeremiah's hurt. I want to hold on to him. I don't care. He's too good looking of an athlete. Coaching staff needs to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, get him going. And then, you've got some freshmen that I don't think that they shouldn't have to help us out this year. I think that Gabriel Osenda is at least a year away. It's going to take him some time. But Blair, if he can put on the weight, he could help us somewhere on the offensive line, I think, Pete. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. This is a room, I mean, quiet's kept. Bennett Warren hasn't played. Jeremiah's Hurd hasn't played. So if those two guys leave, the all-summers room gets razor thin in a freaking heartbeat. So something to watch out for. This could be a room where we may actually have to go and add some pieces from the portal. Quiet's kept. Because like you said, we don't know about Osenda being the guy who's going to help you out year one. And then Kamari Blair has to put on the weight. And again, true freshman. You never really feel comfortable about that. So we may have to add some guys in this room. We'll just see if we can hold on to Bennett Warren and Hurd. And I want to see David Sanders get up to about 330 to start the season. I think that'll help him out tremendously. He'll be a stud. Yeah,
let me just say one thing about Bennett Warren. Bennett Warren has played. He hasn't played a ton, but he's actually seen the field. Like, he's played in some real situations. But now Jeremiah's hurt. He hasn't played at all. He has not seen the field, but hopefully we can hold on to all those guys because I think the Tennessee's going to need them. I mean, we had a really deep offensive tackle room heading into this year, and then we lost Larry Johnson. Obviously, we lose Trevor Duncan to a injury, and he can't play ball anymore. But I think that those guys both looked pretty good in the offseason. So hate to see it. Now, this is the last one. This is tight ends. I don't think that we need to add anything here. It's possible that maybe we lose a guy or two, but I think that we're fine here, P. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, this room's loaded. I think this room takes a huge step forward next season. I think we'll have 3 or 4 guys that can absolutely play out there at all times. And we'll see if we can get more varied in how we use our 12 personnel and our formations and stuff, because this is a very talented room. Let's get more creative, Coach, and find ways to use these guys. Brame, he has a skill set. He might not be the same as a Jack Van Dorsely. You might not be able to do the same exact things. Use them differently. Let them do what they do well, because he's a stud. There's no reason he shouldn't be making plays for us up and down the field next year.
Yep. So, y'all, we just went through a ton of information, just getting y'all ready for the offseason. We saw some about the bowl game and all of that, but that is going to do it. So we're going to let y'all get back to the rest of y'all Sunday. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. P, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just ready to see us in this ball game.
Yep. I am too. So obviously we'll have a lot more coverage on that. Y'all can also join us on YouTube as members by clicking on the join button just below this video. We're going to have a lot of film breakdowns. We've already got a whole lot up there for y'all to watch. It's hours and hours of content. And then you can also join us on Patreon at patreon.com/Bluechip Breakdown. Y'all can join us there for free. There's plenty of free content. You can also join us on a $1 tier or on a $5 tier. It's a great way to support P&I as we're trying to go full time with this. But appreciate y'all, and we'll be talking to y'all more than likely tomorrow. All right. Thanks. Peace.